Hello crafty friends, it's Donna here from Donna is Playing Paper and DonnaDoll74 on Instagram, and I have a set of 4 cards for you today that have a very distinct colour theme. As well as that, we're going to be experimenting with whether you can colour on these die cuts, and you've probably just seen the spoiler. These Lavender and Roses foil die cuts from Paper Rose are beautiful foiled designs, and you can just pop them straight out and use them as is, as I've done in previous cards, but today I thought I would try colouring them. On the left is the paper that those cutouts come from, obviously, and on the right I have a piece of regular Nina cardstock, and I'm just looking at how the Copic markers behave on the 2 different surfaces. And you can see that they blend much better on the right hand side. After just 1 pass, I've got a reasonable blend, but it did take 2 passes on the left. This is a little bit of a shiny paper, and so instead of the ink settling down into the paper and then blending inside the fibres of the paper, it sits on top, so it takes just a little bit more work to get it to blend, but that does mean that it has a superpower, which I'm going to show you in a little while. As far as I could see, that foiled design didn't react with my Copic marker, and my marker didn't react with the foil, and so I wasn't worried about damaging my markers at all. I started out with a 3 colour blend for this bow and for the flowers. But after a little while I did bring in a 4th colour, a deep red, because I wanted to get just a little bit more depth. Let's have a little look at that superpower, shall we? One of the hardest colours to move if you've made a mistake is red. But with this paper, because the ink is still sitting on top of the paper, not inside it, when I use my colourless blender and just pop down a little bit of that, you can see it chasing that red away. And so any mistakes that you make on these little fine images are easily fixed with just a little touch of colourless blender, which is music to my ears because that's actually my most used marker. One of my favourite things to do with Copic markers is to mix colours in an image to get new colours that I know will blend well, because they're made up of colours that I've already used. And I used that same trick here to colour my stems. I used the pink and the green together to make a brown. It took me a couple of goes. My first attempt was just a little bit too pale, but I got there in the end. The leaves are really simple, so we're just going to take a couple of seconds to have a look at which colours I used, and then let's move on with constructing the cards. Altogether, I coloured 4 images, and I'm going to use them in 4 different ways to make 4 different cards. And to begin with, I'm going to use this Leaf Burst rectangle frame die. This is an oldie but a goodie. It's still available now, and I'll leave a link to all the supplies I've used underneath this video. This is my shim for intricate dies. Here's a quick little sneak peek at the maker. Hello! I've used a shim to cut this die because it does have lots of intricate bits. There are several ways you can get the pieces out. You can bend the card slightly and run your thumb along. You can flick it, or for anything that's stubborn, there's always the pokey tool. I'm going to make a super simple card to start off with. Layering this die with some green shimmer cardstock, and then popping up the image and a sentiment. The sentiments for today's cards all come from the Happy Birthday sentiment sheets. I pre-cut these and then just keep them in a little envelope with the name of the set that I used. You wouldn't need to do that if you didn't have a YouTube channel, but I need to be able to say what I used, and so I keep my packaging in with my products. And there's that card simply done. For the next card, I'm using the Leafy Garden 3D embossing folder, and I'm going to use that same green grass shimmer cardstock before popping up once again my element and a sentiment. Check out that shine. This shimmer cardstock and embossing folders is fast turning into one of my favourite combinations. For our third card, I'm going to use that same embossing folder, this time with some white shimmer cardstock. The sentiment comes from a die called the Hello Layered Oval die, and I'm going to cut both the hello and the background layer today. Once again, I'm going to layer up the sentiment and my bouquet. Finally, I'm going to use the little Vases metal dies and the leftovers from my last sentiment to cut out 3 vases. I want to give these vases a bit of dimension, and so I'm just testing out a colour that will give a little bit of a shadow to this green cardstock, and Distress Ink Mowed Lawn is the winner. I'm going to add the ink to the bottom left of each of the vases, although they're upside down, so it looks like I'm adding it to the top right. And then I'm going to take a white gel pen and just add a few highlights to the opposite side, to that top right. I'm adding a little bit of a mix of lines and dots because I don't really know what I'm doing, and that seemed like a good idea. I'm happy enough with how it looks. There's probably experts out there that can show you what to do if you're doing it properly. Once my vases are done and I have an arrangement I quite like, I'm going to get out my trusty stitched rectangle dies and cut that panel down a little bit. And then I'll stick those vases down with a mixture of glue and foam tape, and also stick those flowers down with some glue, so that I've made a nice small panel that will go in the middle of my card. Then it's a simple matter of adding the sentiment and mounting that card onto some more green cardstock as a frame. So there you have it, some simple colouring and 4 quick and easy cards. I hope that you've enjoyed them. Feel free to like and subscribe if you want to see what's coming up next. And I'll be back soon with some more cards. Bye for now.